Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Just Bookish Things. So today, I don't even know what I want to do. I think I'm just going to talk about the books that I have read since I was last talking about books I was reading and now. And also, in an attempt to make you think that I didn't film this on the same day as the last video I posted, I decided to wear some purple lip gloss. Yeah, I don't think it's working either. So let's get into this. So, since my last reading update, I think it would have been in February, question mark, like end of January, beginning of February, somewhere in there. I have read probably like 5 books since then. I just haven't really had time to read. I've had a lot going on in the past few months. One of which, like in the last video I mentioned that I moved into my first apartment, which is also why it's so echoey, and I can't change that until I can get stuff to put on my walls. But yeah, so like I just really haven't had time to read, and then I've also just kind of been going through a lot with my anxiety and things like that, so it's just been kind of a rough couple of months as far as my reading goes. But recently I've gotten into reading a lot more, so I think the first few books I read after filming my February TBR video, I read Page by Page, which was a graphic novel. I ended up not really liking it. I thought it was kind of like a meh. Like, it was written as if it was supposed to be written, or as if it was supposed to be like a middle grade thing, but then it would have a lot of YA aspects in it as well. And so it was like it was trying to be YA, but it didn't know how to talk to teenagers and young adults. It was like, oh, I think you're like 5, right? 5 is YA? Like, yeah. It was just really cringy, and like, it was a decent story, but I think I gave it like 3 stars. It wasn't that great. Then I finished reading The Selection by Kiera Cass, and I really love that book. I know a lot of people aren't huge into that series. Like, it's kind of one of those series where a lot of people have read it and liked it, but nobody admits to liking it because it is kind of fluffy. But I really enjoy it, and I think it's a good story. America annoys me most of the time. Aspen annoys me most of the time. Maxon annoys me most of the time. Everybody annoys me in that book, but I still really love the story. And then on that same note, a few weeks ago, I finished The Elite, which is the second book in that trilogy series. I don't know what you would call it because it was a trilogy. And then she published some companions based off of, I think, America's Kid or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, and so I finished that, and then I also finished The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I loved that book. I really want to get a copy for myself because more than likely I will reread it. I really enjoyed it. I'm really excited for the sequel to come out, and I think it comes out like next year. I hope so, because I'm dying to know what happens next. Like, it was just, the ending really got me, and I was like, and I don't really want to put spoilers in here because I don't even really want to go over what each book is about, to be honest, but oh my god, it was so good. I loved it. And then I read, I read The Elite and The Cruel Prince recently, but a little bit further back, I read Ash by Melinda Lowe, which is like a Cinderella retelling kind of, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't the best. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. Like, it was good. It was just the pacing was a little bit weird in the beginning, and so I was like, it's okay. I really liked it though, and so I'm glad I read it. And then I took a really big break between reading new things, and then I read, what was it? Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And I really liked that book. It's not my favorite. I love Sarah J. Maas's books, but they're not my favorite books. Like, they're good books to read. I don't know if I'd ever reread them, but I do enjoy them, and I like keeping up with the series. I ended up buying Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin. shortly after finishing A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'd like to read them soon, but I let my mom borrow them, and I have other books. Sorry, I got hiccups. I have other books that I need to finish reading before I can get to those. Yeah, so I read those and I really, really enjoyed it. And then that's when I read The Elite and The Cruel Prince. And then I read, I think the next book, I started reading a couple others. Like I started reading Dark Fever and it just wasn't my thing. And then I started reading Blue Bloods and it wasn't my thing. There's a couple other books that I had gotten from the library but then ended up not really wanting to read. And then I got the Speak graphic novel, which if you haven't read Speak, I would definitely recommend it. It is, there's like trigger warning in it. I want to give you that. Like, it is about sexual assault and rape, and it's really a hard read, but I'm really glad I read it, and it's still probably one of my favorite books of all time. But she recently made a graphic novel form of the book, because this book came out in like 2001, and just recently she came out with the graphic novel version of it, and so I decided to read the graphic novel because I thought it'd just be a really cool experience. I read it all in one sitting, and I loved it, and I'm so glad I read it. And then I started reading Sight Witch by Susan Dennard, I think? Yeah, Susan Dennard. And I'm really enjoying it. I really loved Truth Witch and Wind Witch, and I just want Blood Witch to come out so bad, but it doesn't come out until next year, and I'm so upset. Like, I love Sight Witch, but I just want to know what's going to happen, like, next, especially because of Aduin, is that his name? Aiden? He's the Blood Witch, and he is my favorite character in that series. I love him. He's great. He's kind of like a bad guy, but not a bad guy, and I just want to know his story. I want to know I want it so bad, but I have to wait until next year, so I'm just gonna read Sight Witch, and I'm about halfway through it, and I'm really loving it, and I'm really excited to finish it. So yeah, those are all the books, I think, that I've read since my last check-in, and the books that I tried to read and didn't read, and the books that I'm currently reading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what books you've read recently, and if you've read and enjoyed any of these, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!